Good morning. Yes, it's me. After many months, I'm thinking 3 months, maybe four, but I'm thinking it's three of not doing a podcast, not signing on. Just had a lot going on, and I know it's an excuse. And excuses, like everything else, they stink. So, what's been going on? Well, I will tell you, I have started back into my ADN program, my associate nursing degree program, doing the transition program from LPN to ADN, and that has been a huge time consumer, consuming my time, however you want to put that. I'm just rambling this morning. So, started back in May with the program. I'm at Piedmont Tech. This is a hybrid program. We're starting to see a lot more of those come around. We are the second class to go through this program right now, and I'm telling you, it's different. I tell you, it's different. It's hard, and it's not a bitch or a complaint. It is what it is. And I think the hardest thing is one thing I have learned now. We're in the second semester now, the fall semester, and fall semester versus a summer semester time is stretched out more, and so I have a little more time on my hands to get some work done. But that summer program was hard. I'm not going to say. And the one thing I found interesting in with the program is this, as many people know who listen, that I have done my LPN through York Tech up in Rock Hill. I did it with my daughter and her best friend next door, Dana, and it was a great experience. Loved it. Had great teachers. It was good going through with family. It was great having a support group. I'll say that it's always great to have things like that. We bounced ideas off each other. We helped each other, both in school and in life. It was nice being there with my daughter, helping with the grandkids because the youngest one, she was, not even crawling yet. So, and going through school, that's hard for a mom to do that. So, it was, educationally wise being there, but also just physically wise and helping out. Was great. Was great there. But just overall, I enjoyed the program. Had a year or so off. Had my had hip surgery. Had my right hip resurfaced, and it was planned. And I needed to get that taken care of, and greatly that I did. It doesn't make sense when I said that, but just so glad that I did that. And then back into the program. And I applied at other schools. I wouldn't apply, but I was trying to get my prereqs done for our middle school, our Midlands Tech here. I was looking into that one, and also maybe looking at going back to York Tech. But both of those require you to have college algebra and microbiology. So I did the college algebra online. Past that was a tough thing to do, but I did that right after my surgery. Nothing else going on but sitting around and healing and doing physical therapy. Then I got into the microbiology. I tried doing that online in an 8-week course, and I hated it. Did not care for my instructor, and I hate to lean on that word, did not care for my instructor, but I did not, because this person was the only instructor. And I believe in the challenge. I believe, don't give a class away academically wise. But this person thought he was teaching at Yale, Harvard, some Ivy League school. And I just couldn't do it. I meant defeat. I could not handle what was going on in just the class. It was hard. It was hard doing it online. So, I bounced on it, and then waited, looked, found a in-person class, a full semester in person, and started going to that one. And good teacher, good instructor, very, if I can say the word, just different. Very, why must you bring your politics into the class? I'm not going to talk about that. Leave that shit outside. We're here to learn. But he knew his stuff, and he was doing well, but never got to the first test because we had problems. We had, I can't remember if that's when Hurricane Helena went through. Elaine, I can't remember the name of it. Which wreaked a lot of havoc, and I mean, it hit hard. And I think that's what happened because a lot of power outages and such. So our tests got pushed back. And with me saying all that, I applied for the hybrid program at Piedmont Tech, and I had just waiting on that. I had all the qualifications for that class, so I applied. And so I remember Saturday morning, I was up, got up early, had my coffee, logged into my Midlands Tech account to work on my microbiology online, got the email popped up at at Piedmont Tech saying that I have been accepted into the transition program, closed the computer down, and never looked back at Midlands Tech. Didn't even email back. So twice I have dropped out of microbiology, which personally I don't think my microbiology doesn't mean two hills of beans for nursing school. That's just my thought, and but I'm not going to elaborate on it. But you don't need it. You don't need it unless you're going to be going into a research, program in nursing and medical school for microbiology. I find it very interesting. It is an interesting subject, but personally, you don't need it. You need to know your A&P, and that's what you really, really need. So anyway, I'm backing out on that comment. But anyway, started in school. Summer was hard. It was just a lot going on. 2 weeks off in August, 2.5 weeks off, and we started back in the fall semester. Now, where am I going with all this? It's been good this fall semester, and back on my feet. As far as educational wise, I had to sit back, reevaluate some things of how I was going to do. And I'm going to tell you, I barely skimmed by the summer. I mean, barely skimmed by. Different program, different format. Sorry if you heard a little hiccup in the recording there. I had my Patreon for the Rescue Squad in it. I had to pause and listen to what was going on. Not needed at this time. So where was I going to with my talk here? Oh yes. Just comparing the two schools. I'm going to pick it up from right there. That's the thought I wanted to get across. So maybe go back and really think and why I made the summer semester really hard. Educationally wise, it was hard. Different program. When I was in LPN, one subject, one test. Went on to the next test, and we picked the next major subject on and on. With this program I'm in now, for the summer, we had 3 classes that I had to devote my time to with 3 tests. So that was very different for me, and I did not allocate my time to maybe some of the other classes more than I should have the others, and I think that's why maybe I barely skimped by and really hoping on a prayer of getting by on those classes. And so I think that was the biggest thing was putting my time evenly between classes. And so I had to come up with a solution with that, with that being done. And 2, I think the biggest problem was I was just holding on too much of what I had when I was with my LPN program. And I think that was the biggest thing right there was me going, not, as far as, having friends to go with, great teachers. Just, I think I was leaning back on that. And I had to put that in the past. To be completely honest, I had to put that behind me and just move on with this new program. Oh, you know where I'm at now is, and we got different teachers for every class, and so that's what makes it kind of different. Is because we got somebody different teaching styles, different test makings, just different all around. And I will have to say, I think this program, I hear a lot of crap about it. I hear a lot of crap about the teachers, how they don't care. I hear just a lot of things. And the thing about it is, I'm a transplant. I'm not from around here. I'm not from that area. So you have a lot of people born and raised going to this school that went through the LPN program, and I'm hearing things that happened in the LPN program that's bleeding over, and the teachers know these people. Then you're dealing with young students with attitude, and come to think about it, when it made me realize, then you trying to teach someone who has a knowledge already to move them up to the next level. So now there's more attitude in dealing with this, with people. Not all of them, but with a big handful is what I'm seeing. But for me not being there, just I always say I'm just passing through. I'm the only reason why I'm here because you're the only school that would take me, and I truly believe that. So what am I learning from all this? So I am learning from this that you just got teachers that have different teaching techniques. It's been a while since I've been in a much higher education learning level. And I will say that Piedmont Tech really has, I think they have really upped the game for nursing. And right now I'm starting to see the blessing of going to a different school. Just so I can talk about it. Seeing different styles and ways, how things are done, where are their concerns, what are they looking at. And also, that being said, hang on, little cup of coffee here, is that I'm also, I always nerd out on podcasts, but I didn't realize that, as far as taking the NCLEX, we're, from what I've gathered, and I've been reading some articles, that we are almost at an all-time low of first pass attempt passing, if I say that correctly, of the NCLEX. Now, with that being said, who cares? I don't think you should gauge your school program on if many people pass the NCLEX the first time. It's a hard test. It's a psychologically, I think, a hard test to take because you really don't know what they're asking half the time. You got to figure things out, but it is what it is. And so, but I don't think it's because if you don't pass it the first time, you may pass it the second time. I don't think it's going to make you any different of how good of a nurse you are. But the other things that I have been hearing and listening to is that a lot of nurses do not know how to do basic skills, cannot do basic assessments. I'm not saying that you're going to walk in there knowing how to, hook up 4 IV pumps in a row straight with no problem, things like that. I'm just talking just your basic skills, basic patient care. And I'm hearing that is a big problem with new students coming out. Now, with that being said, it makes me start to think about this. So, is it the student? Are they just not competent? That they may be just book smart, but they may not be good on hands-on. Who knows? But you know what? We got to see the other side of this. How well did the school teach that student? Did they really harp on their skills? Did they really go through sim labs? Did they really make sure they knew exactly what they were doing in their skills? One thing I have noticed with the school I'm in now is that they are very heavy in your skills, sim labs. And if you don't pass these things, you may be doing good academically, but if you have to go back and redo a skill per our handbook, you can fail the program and you are kicked out. And at first I'm thinking, God, that's kind of tough right there. But the more I had a chance to really digest and think about this idea about skills and knowing hands-on, knowing what to look for, looking at your patient. Is my patient crashing? Am I doing a good assessment? Am I rolling them over, looking for pressure, soars on them? Am I listening to them? Am I documenting correctly? That's a big thing. Now, with me being said of all that, saying all that, as far as many years in EMS, which I'm still right in the back of the truck making a paycheck, is that I feel I do have some things a little easier. Not easier, but as far as assessment, doing a head to toe. I've been doing that since 2008. And I had to add some more things to that, because how do nurses do it? They do it a little different than what EMS would. And I think it's making me a better provider in the back of the truck when needed. And I think me going into nursing as a medic is going to make me a better nurse because I, got some medic background. So it's interesting to see on that level of far as how one school does it than another school. And I'm sure if I went to another school, a third one, that they may do things a little different there. And so it's just now I'm starting to really just kind of, sink in to my flow and to how things are done here. And it's very interesting to, I think now, it's kind of a blessing to see to compare the two, at least with two schools. So, if I ever got into educating, I would like to one day, maybe not a full-time teacher. That's just too much stuff. I see what they have to go through in the programming and the paperwork. And it's mainly the paperwork and the computer technology running these programs on the school, like the D2L. I really do not have a desire. I'd rather just be an adjunct teacher, come in, help out with hands-on skills, preceptor in the hospital, and just call it quits right there. Just do the fun stuff and walk away. And so, which is very critical, I think, being a preceptor in the hospital. But you know what? I got years down the road to get experience to come across there. But anyway, or if I want to do that. But it is very interesting to hear these older nurses start, and I think they're starting to see with the younger ones coming in, is that I hate it when they say, well, when I was a nurse in school, we never had this, and I hate when people say that. I understand. Believe me, I understand. But I also think sometimes, to a degree, we are a little soft on this new generation. Now, I'm 54 years old, and I was brought up by good parents, and I was brought up hard, and I had teachers who would just harp and just held me to a standard. It was a different time and era, and I think we're in a different time and era with this newer generation, with the young ones, where you really can't really tell them anything because the teachers have their hands tied. But we're not going down that road right there. But I think our nursing teachers may, to a degree, have that also. But we are losing out. We are losing out experience, and I'm seeing that in the ER. Is seeing nurses. I'm not saying that our young nurses do not have experience, but what I'm saying is that we're going to be losing out a lot of our older nurses retiring who has that experience very rapidly. And not saying it makes me nervous, but I've already got my preceptor lined up. I know who I want to teach me when I'm done because she is old school. I have watched her with other students, and I'm all like, and I need that push. I need that critical care thinking of how things are done. And I'm looking forward to that even though when I'm done with school, I'm still going to be pushed hard with that being, when I'm done. Okay, I know I'm rambling. So I'm going on about 20 minutes, 18 minutes right now. I'm going to go ahead and just lock this down. And my goal is to get back on the horse with this podcasting here. And so I just rambled. But the big thing is, one just to take home, is that if you're at a new place, learning something new, take it for what it is. Learn. Don't bitch. Don't moan. Don't complain. Just keep your nose in the books. Keep going. And I'll keep y'all updated what I got going on here in my life. And so, anyway, thank you for tuning in. And y'all have a good morning.